The big question is, who's right? Tax cuts in and of themselves can often be inflationary.
I think Rishi Sunak is absolutely right to be concerned about the role that tax cuts may have in accelerating inflation. However, I think the problem with the rhetoric from people such as Rishi Sunak and others is that it places the emphasis on taxpayers and on the consumer to start cutting down on their spending, when actually what we need to see is we need to see government start to make the savings. If government makes savings, it can afford the tax cuts, and then they won't be as inflationary. So I think the problem is the onus is on the wrong place at the moment.
It's interesting when we talk about making those savings in government, because very few politicians are willing to say this needs to be cut, this spending needs to be reduced. The opposition will jump upon any sort of suggestion. When Nadeem Zwahi ran his brief campaign for leadership, he suggested cutting the cost of running departments by 20%. And of course, the Labour Party then came out immediately to say he wants to cut the NHS. Can politicians realistically find these savings in this political climate?
Well, it's absolutely incredibly difficult. And we do need a politician to be brave. I mean, we've seen two leadership candidates propose creating two new government departments, one for digital, one for energy. Now, they may be worth doing, but that's just going to be another layer of bureaucracy. It's going to be another Whitehall department. And we've heard some good language, some good rhetoric from some candidates about the need to cut spending, the need for the state to do less, but we haven't heard many concrete details, and I think that's what we're going to be waiting for over the next few weeks.
Yes, it's interesting. We're hearing a lot about how taxes will be reduced, about how the economy may grow, but not so much about how the state would shrink. Are there specific proposals that the Taxpayers Alliance would like to see these candidates take on?
Well, we've looked at things such as regional pay bargaining, such as bringing public sector sick leave and annual leave into line with the private sector. We've looked at things such as scrapping some of these enormous pet projects such as HS2, and also just some of the day-to-day waste that we uncover every day. So there are a number of proposals we've put forward, but this is really, really critical now. We've seen the ONS publish data this morning that suggests that, well, that says that public sector interest repayments on our debt is now £19.1 billion for the month of June alone. Now, that's enough to easily pay for a 2p cut in income tax. It's enough to fund the Home Office for a year. It's really, really shocking figures and shows the need to bring the cost of government down.
Certainly a huge amount being spent on that debt interest, but also the Exchequer getting more money than it was expecting as well. The CEBR suggesting that there's £60 billion extra that the Treasury wasn't expecting because this inflation is pumping the Treasury full of cash as well as prices. What should be done with that £60 billion?
Well, if you've got fiscal headroom, then absolutely you should be using it to cut taxes. If you cut taxes, then in the long term you're going to get the economic growth that's going to help to bring that debt down. We've done some modelling that suggests that a national insurance cut, an income tax cut and a VAT cut would mean the economy would be tens of billions of pounds richer by 2029. So if there's a fiscal headroom there, and it does seem that there is, then any new Chancellor, any new Prime Minister should be looking at how to put that money back in people's pockets.
Well, Elliot Keck, thank you so much for that analysis there. Really, really interesting stuff, and no doubt something for the candidates to mull over in the weeks ahead.